What makes a top 25 team special? Here's a look at the strengths of each of these talented rosters. Point 1. Alabama. Running back Evan. Before back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher Damian Harris decided to return for his senior, Alabama was stocked at running back with up-and-comers Najee Harris, Brian Robinson Jr. and Josh Jacobs. Now Harris will lead as deep a group as any in the SEC. Alex Scarborough 2. Clemson, defensive line. This is a no-brainer. The Tigers return the best defensive line in the country, and its potential has left opposing coaches wondering how, exactly, they will move what appears to be an immovable force. You could make an All-America argument for Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, Austin Bryant and Clelin Ferrell. What's more, Clemson has depth at this position. 2. Andrea Adelson 3. Ohio State wide receiver, H-back. The Buckeyes will have a new starting quarterback, likely sophomore Dwayne Haskins, but plenty of familiar faces on the perimeter. All the receivers are back, and while there's no obvious superstar, the group's collective experience and talent should pay off. 5 wideouts with at least 20 receptions in 2017 return, and 4 average more than 14 yards per catch. Seniors Paris Campbell, Terry McLaurin and Johnny Dixon provide leadership and production. Benjamin Victor had 7 two-count catches last fall and KJ Hill made 56 catches. Demario McCall hopes to build on a big spring game performance at the H-back position. Adam Rittenberg. College football is coming. In 100 days, Texas A&M's new $75 million man, Jimbo Fisher, will take the field. That's just one thing we can't wait to see. The Crimson Tide and Tigers have quarterback battles brewing that will last into the summer. But the defending national champions will do what Nick Saban has always done, reload and aim to repeat. Point 4. Georgia, secondary. They have to replace a few starters, but DeAndre Baker and J.R. Reed anchor what should be a solid secondary. Mix in the slew of top prospects recruited over the past 2 years, such as Amir Speed and William Poole, and the Bulldogs should be in good shape. Scarborough 5. Oklahoma, running back. After taking over the starting running back job last October, Rodney Anderson led the country in yards from scrimmage. Then he ran for more than 200 yards in the Rose Bowl. With Anderson back to lead a talented group of backs, or you could feature one of the top rushing units in the country, Jake Trotter 6. Washington, secondary. Huskies are loaded in the secondary. There could be at least 3 no-brainer NFL draft picks back there, and defensive backs coach Jimmy Lake has a ton of budding talent to mold. Sophomore cornerback Byron Murphy is the star, while up-and-coming freak Keith Taylor played well opposite him this spring. Safety Taylor Rapp is one of the best in the Pac-12, and JoJo McIntosh hits as hard as anyone. Edward Vashoff 7. Wisconsin, offensive line. You knew it would take Paul Chryst and his staff long to restore Wisconsin's signature position group to an elite level. This could be the Badgers' best offensive line since 2010, as they return all 5 starters, including guard Bo Ben-Sharrell and tackles David Edwards and Michael Dieter, all of whom earned All-America honors last. Center Tyler Biadasz is back after earning freshman All-America honors in 2017. There's not a more accomplished line in college football than Wisconsin's group, which helped Jonathan Taylor rush for 1,977 yards last fall. Rittenberg 8. Miami, linebacker. Hurricanes return their starting linebacker group, a unit that has started together since entering as true freshmen 3 years ago. Shaq Quarterman is the player to watch among the trio, but Michael Pinckney and Zach McCloud can't be overlooked. Quarterman was second on the team in tackles, while Pinckney had 11 tackles for loss. Adelson 9. Michigan State, secondary. Signature position group of the Mark D'Antonio era at MSU is restocked and ready to uphold the no-fly zone tradition. The Spartans return all 4 starters and 10-letter winners, including first-team All-Big Ten safety David Dowell. Cornerback Josiah Scott started 12 games as a true freshman, the most of any MSU freshman non-kicker in D'Antonio's tenure, and earned freshman All-America honors after recording 2 interceptions and 10 pass breakups. The backups at both cornerback and safety boast starting experience, and several freshman defensive backs emerged this spring to provide even more depth. Rittenberg 10. Michigan, pass rush. From the first-round talent on the defensive line to the uber-athletic edge rushers to the cover corners who can operate on an island to the solve your problems with aggression scheme drawn up by defensive coordinator Don Brown, Michigan's defense has all the pieces it needs to keep quarterbacks running for their lives. This Dan Murphy 11. West Virginia, quarterback Will Grier is easily the most accomplished quarterback returning in the pass-happy Big 12. Before breaking a finger in Week 12 last, he was second nationally in passing touchdowns and third in passing yards. If Grier can stay healthy, he has the arm and supporting cast to catapult into the Heisman conversation. Trotter 12. Notre Dame defensive line. The Irish defense intends to build upon last revival, and it starts up front. Tackles Jerry Tillery and Jonathan Bonner return after considering the NFL. Tillery led Notre Dame in both sacks 4.5 and quarterback hurries 11 in 2017. Although starting N.J. Hayes departs, Notre Dame brings back a lot on the edges with Dalen Hayes, Julian Okwara and Khalid Kareem. Notre Dame has built depth at tackle through recruiting and development and should be able to apply pocket pressure from multiple positions. Rittenberg 13. Penn State quarterback record-setting senior Trace McSorley returns this fall as the leader of the Nittany Lions offense. Behind him, Tommy Stevens has proven too good to keep off the field. Penn State has used Stevens at various positions to take advantage of his athleticism. That duo gives first-year coordinator Ricky Rahne a combination of experience and depth that could rival any team in the country. Murphy 14. Stanford running back. Well, when you have the Heisman Trophy runner-up returning at running back, chances are it's tough not to look at that position. Bryce Love might be the best player in all of the Pac-12, and HES certainly one of the best running backs in the country after finishing second in rushing in 2017, 2,118. Behind him, Cameron Scarlett ran for nearly 400 yards last, and Connor Weddington looks like he could be a big threat at running back as well. Ashoff 15. Virginia Tech defensive line. There are major holes the Hokies have to fill headed into, but the defensive line looks like it could be an area of strength. Even though Tim Settle is gone, Trevon Hill, Ricky Walker and a healthy Vinny Miho to provide experience and leadership on a young and inexperienced defense. The biggest question here is depth. Adelson 16. Mississippi State quarterback Heaven. If Nick Fitzgerald's recovery doesn't come along as expected, and there are no indications it won't, the Bulldogs will be okay. The quarterback room is in fine hands with Keaton Thompson, who ran for 3 touchdowns and threw for another in the bowl game, ready to play when called upon. Scarborough 17. USC linebacker. The Trojans could have one of the nation's best linebacker core. Getting All-American talent Porter Gustin back from injury this spring was huge, as is the return of inside leader Cameron Smith. Replacing star Uchenna Nwosu won't be easy, but Jordan Iosefa moved right into his spot with ease this spring. Freshman Kanai Mauga also had a solid first spring and should jump right into the linebacker rotation this fall. Ashoff 18. UCF running back. Their skill positions are stacked at UCF, but none more than running back. 3 of the top 5 backs return, including leading rusher Adrian Killins Jr., an all-conference selection a year ago. That doesn't even include receiver Otis Anderson and quarterback McKenzie Milton, integral parts in allowing the UCF run game to be so dynamic. How new coach Josh Heupel handles the rushing attempt will be intriguing. Adelson 19. Auburn defensive line. If not for Clemson, Auburn would have a claim for the best defensive line in the country. Starters Derek Brown, Marlon Davidson and Dontavius Russell all return, along with top reserve Nick Coe, who showed this spring that he could be in for a breakout. Scarborough 20. TCU defensive line. The Horned Frogs are going to be a load up front. Defensive end Ben Banogu was a first-team All-Big 12 performer for the conference's top sack defense, and sophomores Ross Blacklock and Corey Bethley are rising stars in the middle. Trotter 21. Boise State defensive line. With the entire rotation essentially coming back, Boise State's defensive line should be stout once again. Curtis Weaver was first-team All-Mountain West as a freshman last year. Returning teammates Jabril Frazier and David Moore were second-team. This unit has playmaking and depth. Trotter 22. Texas defensive line. Despite losing several key players off last's defense, the Longhorns stand to be dynamic off the edge. Charles Omeni, who has NFL measurables. Brecken Hager and Malcolm Roach boast plenty of experience. Taquin Graham has the talent to break out. Trotter 23. Texas A&M defensive line. If you're going to build a defense, it's best to start up the middle. New coordinator Mike Elko has his work cut out for him, but with depth at defensive line, including former 5-star Dalen Mack, there's a starting point. Scarborough 24. Oregon offensive line. Justin Herbert will challenge to be not just the best quarterback in the Pac-12 but also the best quarterback in the nation. However, the biggest strength of this team right now is an offensive line that returns 4 starters. This group also has a solid group of youngsters coming in to add some talented depth. Losing Terrell Crosby at left tackle was reamed by moving right tackle Brady Aiello there, Ashoff 25. South Carolina wide receiver Wilmer Champ and his staff didn't inherit a whole lot when they took over 2 years ago, but they did get a few talented receivers to work with. Senior Deebo Samuel and junior Brian Edwards have developed nicely into a dangerous 1-2 punch. Meanwhile, sophomore Shi Smith, who caught 29 passes last, looks like a future difference maker at the position. Scarborough